Are you sick of the airport? The long lines, security, the danger of terrorism? Why not take a ride in a hot air balloon? Virginia Horson's hot air balloon rides. You don't have to worry about terrorists or long lines, and it's just you and me, up in the air. Whoa! Hey, I can see my house from here. Just kidding. Why not take a ride in my balloon? I'll cut you a deal. Forget about airport security. See you later, suckers. I'm taking myself a hot air balloon ride. Ooh, fresh air. Listen, I'm not one of those college types that's gonna talk your ear off. I bought a balloon, and it doesn't mean I think I'm better than everybody else. Or I can just read a book. I'm not one of those people who doesn't know how to be quiet. So come on over, take a ride in my hot air balloon. It'll take you wherever you want to go. I promise.
TBTL.
Love it or hate it, it appears to be another irreversible step along mankind's journey toward God only knows what.
Psycho, screwy, and totally unbalanced.
Laser pointers? You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to take my laser car and drive it off of a laser cliff.
You believe that?
I do if you do.
But it's absurd.
What would happen if you went out on stage and you didn't set off the fireworks and you didn't break up the guitar and you didn't have the smoke and the fire and the blood and all that, and you just came out and did your thing?
Well, I've got to run. I can hear the blender crying. Coming, baby.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Thursday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
This ship doesn't go anywhere except in circles.
My name's Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
You paint your bald spot?
What bald spot?
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where it is Thursday, the 26th of March, and in a matter of hours, I'll be attending opening day. Seattle Mariners, Cleveland Guardians.
The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. That's right, baseball's back.
Exciting, exciting times. But not before we've completed our efforts here on episode 4692 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
And we're doing something fun today on this Thursday. As tends to happen, folks are kind enough to call into the TBTL voicemail line. That's 206-414-TBTL. And leave us messages, and then sometimes those messages will start to, they'll accumulate. And every once in a while, we like to try to get to some of them so we don't have too many accumulating. So
I'm trying to use the phone!
We're going to do some V-mails today, and we're going to talk to this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. Something else.
Do you have any idea who I am? I'm a verified Yelp complainer.
You may not know about him. He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I just did something unprecedented that is going to potentially take up maybe 1 or 2 minutes here at the top of the show, if you don't mind.
A few small minutes.
A few small minutes. I just made literally a quiz for myself. Now, how does one make a quiz for themselves?
Can you even quiz yourself? Doesn't your body know it's you?
Could God make a quiz
himself so hard,
so difficult
could God
that
sit on
even
one
Ned
of his
Flanders couldn't pass it? Okay, here's you
stupid sexy Flanders.
You played a drop in the intro that I am unfamiliar with, but I have come up with 4 things that I'm totally guessing might be true about that drop, and I'm going to tell you what those 4 things are.
I already know which drop it is, by the way.
Which one is it?
It's got to be this one.
This ship doesn't go anywhere except in circles.
Yes, and here is what I think I know about this drop. Thinking that, first of all, I think I've never heard it before, so that's my big assumption here. My brain just filled in a lot of context for that, which could be totally off base, but that to me feels like tape number 1 from the 1990s. Number 2 feels like a local television broadcast. And I'm thinking local to this area. Number 3, I feel like it's a feature that comes from like a TV magazine style show, like a feature piece. And number 4, I'm going on a limb here, and this might just be where my mind is in this part of the year. I think it might even be Mariners related. Could it be something about a boat that drives around the outfield in the 1990s or something? So those are my 4 assumptions. Did I get any of them right? Did I get 100%? Am I a good boy?
You are asking the wrong person because
no!
I have absolutely no idea.
saying
I
that
do
because
know
you
that
don't
I
want
loaded
to
this.
do
First
the
of all,
quiz?
I believe you have heard this drop at some point, only because I must have snagged this. I have no idea when. I have no idea where it's from, but I can tell by the way that I have it described, as opposed to your very sort of, and I mean this in the best kind of way, your very routinized, repetitive, repeated way that you label your audio drops, which is helpful. I don't do that. I just write any old thing on, like, for instance.
Well,
here's
what's
a
this
drop
called? Yeah. Or do you not
It's
want
called
to say?
This Ship Doesn't Go Anywhere.
Okay,
I see where you did
I
that.
don't-
This ship doesn't go anywhere except in circles.
So I don't know. I don't know. I know that I must have pulled it at some point. I'm guessing I played it because I just was scrolling through the thousands of drops I have in iTunes today, or whatever they call it now, and found it. But that's all I can tell you about it, and I apologize. If I did see, like, for instance, this is a drop that you sent me because it says all caps PEE hyphen we WEE hyphen trying hyphen to hyphen use hyphen phone.
I'm trying to use the phone!
And this is also you. Kimmy, all caps. KIMMY hyphen Schmidt hyphen Yelp hyphen
Do you
complainer.
have any idea who I am? I'm a verified Yelp complainer.
Yeah, I
That's
do that.
how you
I
do
that.
it, and that's useful. And I'm sorry that I didn't do that because that means we'll never know the answer.
Do you have? Yeah, I kind of. Yeah, I slug things with like all caps for the show it comes from, and then usually then the rest is descriptor. And sometimes I even will put in like several words that are like kind of similar. Sometimes I'll even put. I'm like if I'm looking for this on the fly, I'll probably misspell it. So sometimes I put various spellings of things in there.
That's so smart because, like, I am weirdly, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I don't want to make this so long, but, like, who cares? The title, first of all it does is give my searches a better chance of returning the audio drop in the moment, and no one's looking at it. And also, there's just a point where it is an ellipses. You've got some words and an ellipses, and then that just lives in the brain of the program.
Of the
I don't
computer,
care.
yeah.
I could write Webster's dictionary in there.
This is why we don't use any drops with the word orangutan. What are the hardest words? Restaurateur.
I saw somebody on a newscast say this restaurateur or restaurant. I heard her use
restaurateur.
I heard her put
Instead
the
of
N in there, and I
restaurateur.
just thought, my friend.
Can I just
only
ask
you knew.
one more question about this drop? Do you have any sense of how long it's been kicking around? In other words, like sometimes you say that really, really old drops, some get lost to history because of transferring of computers. Like, do you know, based on the fact that you have access to it on this particular computer, that it must have been like the past 5 or 10 years?
I'm trying to get some metadata on it.
Yeah.
I've now gone back to Apple Music where it is. It thinks it's been played 2 times in this program.
Well, and you played it twice today.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not playing it in this program, if that makes any sense. This is kind of it's in the warehouse. Okay. No, this doesn't help. Dang it.
No.
Literally, this thing is called This Ship Doesn't Go Anywhere Except in Circles. That's all.
And if you right-click on it, you can't get, like, on Windows, you right-click details, and it'll tell you when it was made and when it was last
info.
modified.
I'm getting info. Oh, okay. It's called This Ship Doesn't Go Anywhere Except in Circles. That's the details.
Great. Okay. All right.
The last
good.
play. Oh, no, here we go. It's been played twice. The last one, as far as it knows, as far as Apple Music, whatever, iTunes, it thinks the last time I played it was 5/16 of 24.
Okay. So it might have been a later addition to the lexicon or to the library because it probably was not from like something you were using in the old radio days or something.
No.
Well, I'm sorry to be obsessed with it. I'm kind of bummed that I focused on it so much now. It feels way more frustrating than it needed to. I should have just enjoyed the intro.
But also, I'm just wondering if, let's see here. Well, you know what? I was getting slightly triggered by one of the drops that was in the intro package that you put together.
Oh, yeah? I can maybe help with that. What did you hear?
I'm just typing, by the way,
I
anywhere.
did this into Google, too. I didn't get anything.
In circles. Let's see.
You got an AI overview that's making shit up.
I have the physics behind why the Expanse circling ship was wrong.
Okay, that sounds funny.
I've got why ships don't sail in a straight line. I'm not getting any good, anything that's kind of helping me narrow it down. And of course, this is one of the few times where the listeners can't be a help because it's not pulled from some larger thing. It isn't like a piece of news tape we got obsessed with or something like that. This is what happens though when I'm, just freelancing. Like I'm sure that I was just like watching something online, probably on TikTok. That seemed funny to me. I clipped it, sent it to myself, played it one time or maybe 2 times on the show. But sorry, that wasn't for emphasis. I'm just futzing with my bell. The drop that you played that had me kind of thinking life is weird is that Ted Koppel drop. Yeah, right. That came from, I think, our friend Bean. I love that drop so much. I work with Ted Koppel. He is a frequent contributor to CBS Sunday Morning. And the thing about Ted Koppel, and I like him and I respect him and he's good, but they give him so much time for his pieces. He is like, I'm in a knife fight in a phone booth trying to get 4.5 minutes for Robert Therian, the artist. And like when there's a Koppel piece in the show, your host, he's going to get 15 minutes. He's going to have however much time he wants for his story. And you're going to be just like lucky to still be in the program. And I thought, it's funny that now when I hear Ted Koppel's voice, that's where my brain goes. Like what I grew up watching Nightline. I grew up watching Ted Koppel. Again, I'm an admirer of his work, and he's actually a good dude. And I've said this before on the show. He's way more stylish than you would think he would be in real life based on watching Nightline. He has very good style, particularly for a guy of his age. And he's also healthy and very robust. He's just like still doing great in the world, still taking up large amounts of time on the program. But now when I hear him saying, oh, God knows what, that's more like if Hank Hill was doing it, but you get the idea. Now I just think, oh, man, that's the guy who eats up all the time on the TV show I work on.
And now he's eating up time on this show. How do you think I labeled that one?
Okay. Can I hear the drop again, please?
You can. And using a sentence.
Love it or hate it, it appears to be another irreversible step along mankind's journey toward God only knows what.
So you retitle it after Bean sends it to you.
I'm pretty sure this came from Bean. I don't have 100% on that because often if it's from Bean, I will put parenthetically Bean behind it, but I don't think I've been actually totally true to that.
How did you miss your calling in library sciences?
No joke. I should be an archivist.
No, at heart.
I did part of that for my job for a while. I absolutely archiving old reel-to-reel news coverage from the 1970s from Kent State,
and then digitizing it or just labeling it,
digitizing it, rolling it in, trying to preserve the tape because
onto
tape
DAT? What was it onto?
No, onto CDs. There was a whole library that they did end up naming the Andrew Walsh Memorial Archive.
Memorial seems a
little bit much at
final.
WKSU. It was very sweet because I developed this whole system of printing out labels for them. I was making the jewel case labels, just black and white, but I was using the paper cutter. I loved it so much. It was sort of one of those things that it was sort of assigned to me, but I sort of assigned it to myself. Just
you ran with it.
Yeah, and so I would always I'd be at family because I'm in college, but I'm driving distance from home. So on let's say a Thanksgiving, I would drive home from Kent, where I had a little apartment, a little tiny little gross studio, but I would, do the Thanksgiving thing. But then at a certain point, I'd be like, you know what, guys, I got to go to work. But what work was me just driving back to my apartment, then walking across the street to the radio station, and literally nobody is there. And I'm just listening to literally old promos, live reads, packages, all from reel-to-reel tapes. And I'm rolling them into a computer, digitizing them, knowing that the tape is so old in some cases, if we don't get it in one take, it will be gone forever.
Wow.
And then I'm arranging it all, and I'm making CDs, and I'm doing kind of what I do with my VHS tapes now, which is I'm trying to research what this would have been in relation to. I'm putting track listings together. This was, I'm in my early 20s. I'm in college, and I'm just loving it, Jerry.
Would this have been actually literally on Thanksgiving, the night of Thanksgiving? So you spent the day with the fam, and now you're headed back, and now it's whatever that is, that Thursday in November, and you're at the station all alone?
That would be that is some memories I have of this. Mm-hmm. This was a project that I just basically did whenever I wanted to, and I could go over there and do it. And I guess I was getting paid hourly, so it was work. I do think that I don't think I was just doing that for free. I don't know exactly how it worked, but I didn't make that much money, and I was in good standing with the newsroom and everything. And I think they truly appreciated it. And so by the time I left, there was a whole wall, like a whole CD wall that just had all these meticulously labeled, like printed labeled CDs with all this digital, with all this old archive that was digitized. The bummer about it is those CDs are probably now flaking apart. Like, I don't know. I mean, CDs hopefully have a longer shelf life than some of this tape, but ideally this all would have gone on hard drives or something like that, because we don't know how long these, these spindles of DVRs will last into the future, and we could risk losing all of this history again.
The irony, Andrew, and I just realized it was, at about this time, you were, what would you be, like a sophomore, junior?
Yeah, probably that sophomore, junior. Oh, and to your point, I was doing it all the time, but I loved it as an excuse to like kind of say, okay, I'm done with this holiday thing now. I want to go, I want to leave family times. Love you, family, but I want to go back to my part of the world, an hour away in Kent, where I live by myself. I'm in charge of my thing. And also just know that I have a nice, cozy, like empty radio station to go to that I don't remember how they gave me access as a student, but somehow, like I said, I earned a lot of trust around there, so I somehow had access.
Well, the irony is that at about that time, I was also a kind of a, intern / work study / semi-employee but student at the public radio station in Seattle. And there may have been nights where we were both at our respective public radio stations, but you were building the Andrew Walsh archive, and I was stealing books and possibly CDs from KCMU.
Maybe
There's a reason they couldn't play.
Or two. I mean,
they
who
couldn't
knows?
play.
Who's to say?
That is yet to be confirmed, sir. The fact that like KCMU couldn't play AM, the Wilco CD AM for after a certain point, maybe never again, because I boosted that thing.
To be clear, you were not boosting that from their on-air library. You were taking
absolutely.
Oh, you were? I thought you only took things from the free book pile. Like,
that was a KUOW.
Oh,
the books, Andrew.
You were actually stealing from
with
their on-air library. Wow, that is kind of shocking.
I mean, I don't actually know if. Let me put it this way: it wasn't from the free bin. It was a little bit more vague than that. But there was two. So you've got this. I consider this to be mixed media. What I'm talking about here. At KUOW, they did have a big shelf of free books. They were just because every day 20 books would get mailed to that radio station because there was a couple of local interview shows, and the hosts would always they would take the books they were going to read for interviews. Then they would just take the books that seemed interesting to them, and then after all that, there would be what are some of I wish I could find some of these books that my mom has at her house, because they're the kind of books that would be available on the free bin. They were Worry Your Way Thin or whatever. And they would just be these crazy books. But what I learned was even those books, even the books that had been put on the free shelf, and the idea there being hey, if somebody wanted to grab a book and take it home with them and read it or whatever, take it on vacation, have fun with it. It wasn't, hey, Luke, come in here under the dark of night, take most of the hardbacks and then take them to half-price books on Roosevelt and sell them for whatever they'll give you, which is what I was doing.
I will say I will defend your right to do that. Maybe it's because of the culture that I grew up in, but when I worked at radio stations, and both when I was the lowest person on the ladder of kind of responsibility and pay, especially, we were encouraged to do exactly that. It was take these books, take them to a used bookstore, get some money for them. They're just sitting here anyway. The adults in the room can buy their own books. You know what I mean? And then when I was of the age that I was making a salary or whatever, I was encouraging the interns to do the same thing.
Well, I've been very encouraging over time of people doing it, but nobody encouraged me. I had to teach myself. I had to innovate this, and in fact, I think I would have been in kind of a lot of trouble if people
really? You
figured
think
out.
so, huh?
Well, because I don't know, just that wasn't the culture there. It was. I mean, I loved those people. I looked up to them. Most of the people that were, had real jobs there and that were older than me and were mentors to me in a lot of ways. But that wasn't the vibe. I don't remember anyone ever saying oh man, you should dude, you're broke. You have a child. Not that that's anyone's fault, but mine. But hey, you know what? You can take these books and you can sell them and you can make some dough off of them. Nobody told me that. So I was always thinking I am being very, very sketchy with this. Meanwhile, as I got older and worked at radio stations, I'd be to anybody who was, an intern or a starting out employee, I was oh, hey, you know what you can do with this? You know what you can do with vinegar, the king of cures? a book that's on my mom's.
You're
bookshelf
just
at home.
you just
Do you know what
remember
you
that?
can do with the book? Get out of that pit.
Did you take
Another
photos
book-
of your mom's bookshelf? What do you
I did. I'm
remember?
looking at
Yeah.
these on Instagram.
Oh, I see.
You know what you can do with the book? Taming Your Outer Child. These are all books that are on the bookshelves or in the rooms.
Outer child. Wait, that
Taming Your Outer Child, Andrew.
Wait, hold on. This is a lot because first of all, we want. Wait, do
It's a
we
lot to
want?
take
Do
in.
we want an inner child, but we don't want an outer child?
Well,
why do I want
again,
to tame them?
Well, I would say that maybe taming your inner child is something. I don't know. I don't understand. I have more questions than answers about how one is supposed to tame one's outer child. I just thought it was an absolutely ridiculous name for a book, Taming Your Outer Child.
That is interesting.
Again, also, get out of that pit. And then a picture of a woman smiling. I guess she's going to help you with that. And then, Vinegar.
A beginner's
the King of
guide
Cures.
to Pitfall, the Atari game.
Actually, I could have used that about 45 years ago when I was at my friend Gabe's house and they had Pitfall. I've told you the story before, but his mom said that John Cougar Mellencamp had a nice butt.
Oh, yeah.
And I was scandalized.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Moms even see butts in that way is.
This woman was probably 25. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I had two really good friends. This kid named Aaron who lived around the corner. This is when we rented we rented a house in kind of, I think it's actually by the Pinehurst pub. If you want to but sort of more towards Lake City way. So imagine Pinehurst pub, but more towards Lake City way. Around the corner was this kid, Aaron. His mom's name was Monique. She was a hairstylist. She was, as you would say, a bottle blonde. She had long blonde hair. She dated a guy who worked at the, I think, Ben Bridge jewelry store at the Northgate Mall. She drove what seemed like she drove like not a muscle car, but like a kind of a sports car kind of thing. She smoked cigarettes. She was the most glamorous person I'd ever seen in my life. He was also the way that I learned, at least got my first inkling of how babies were made, in that his mom had read him a book. And he said, "You know where babies come from?" I said, "Yeah, Jesus puts them in the stomach." And he said, "Well, that's not what I'm hearing."
He said,
that was
"No,
Aaron.
Jesus puts them in the uterus.
Jesus puts them in my mommy's boyfriend's private parts."
Okay.
So then that was Aaron, and then down the street was this kid Gabe, and Gabe came from a more kind of like a so he had his mom and dad lived at home, and like I don't know what they did, but they kind of had, it was like I remember the kitchen was kind of country kitchen. It was a kind of kitchen where there would be maybe a paper towel holder that was also a goose.
Yeah, sure.
You know, kind of that vibe.
Country kitchen, yep.
And they had MTV and Pitfall. And I just
Pitfall was
remember
great,
her thinking that a John Cougar Mellencamp had a cute butt, and I just thought, I can't believe this elderly woman is talking about John Cougar Mellencamp's butt.
Yeah,
He was
no.
probably 25.
I'm with you on that. I'm thinking of some moms. There is an Ethiopian restaurant that is in this Pinehurst neighborhood, not too far from where you're talking. I was going to see if I could do something where I send you a link to the Ethiopian restaurant and you tell me how close this is to this area, but I'm having a little bit of trouble nailing that down. It's probably not the best radio in the world, to be completely honest with you. But it does put me in a mind to have Ethiopian food. When's the last time you've been to an Ethiopian restaurant?
Not in a long, long time. First of all, we don't have a ton here in the area. When I lived in L.A., much more, because you've got like Fairfax and stuff. You got some really long-standing Ethiopian communities and a lot of really great options. And it's also not, I would say, do we say ethnic food? Of food that is available in American cities, but that doesn't have its origins. I mean, well, here's the other thing. Does any food have its origins in America, truly? Like, what, a turkey sandwich? That was probably from England, right? Like, is there an American food? Or is every food in America...
pizza an American food?
It sounds Italian to me, but
I mean, it's a lot of Italian ingredients, but for some reason I thought it was...
Maybe so. Maybe that is our... And honestly, if we got to have one to hang our hat on, I'll take pizza.
But you were going to say that it's not something that you're seeking out all that much.
Well, not necessarily, but just
Okay.
of the... I've enjoyed it tremendously, but of the foods, like for me, it's like if I'm going for something that is, again, originally maybe from another part of the world, probably Thai food is going to be the number one that I go for, probably followed by Indian food. Probably followed by I mean, there's a long list of things,
there's a
but
huge
Ethiopian
long
is
list,
is not in the top 10 for me, and so I don't think about it. I also don't have go-tos, is what I'm trying to say. I have go-tos with most kinds of food like
off
that.
the menu, yeah.
That I like to get. I like to get, I always order this if they have it from this style of restaurant. I don't have that for Ethiopian food. What do you get when you go there?
I don't know. I don't go all that often in this place. I did find this and send it to you, and it's just it's kind of a little hole-in-the-wall place. It's not a fine, it's not like an upper-class dining experience or anything like that. It's just, it's very down-to-earth, but the owner kind of runs the place, and I remember she came out and talked with us. It's very rare that I go, but I realized that I had gone a couple of times in college and liked it, and then just went years and years and years without having it. I can't remember my full history with it, but a couple of years ago, I got a little gang of friends together. I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about Ethiopian food. It's been way too long. Let's just get together and go to this place. And so a group of, and I think that's a good way to do it, maybe. I mean, whatever. And so there was like a group of about 8 of us or something, and we went. And anyway, so I'm not sending this to you as a recommendation necessarily if you're not into it. I enjoyed myself. Maybe I'll get that crew and go back. But it did sort of seem like this might be the area where your childhood memories are.
Dude. The childhood memories, if you went on this street, and I think maybe literally this street, well, first of all, across the street from the Ethiopian restaurant, which now looks like it is maybe, at least when this Google Street View was taken, it was in disrepair and maybe slated for demolition, is this building that used to be, when I was growing up, it was an IGA. It was a grocery store called IGA.
I haven't heard of IGA in forever. This is like, you're talking about where the Oaxacan restaurant is? That's where the IGA is, if you're looking at
I'm talking about across the street from the restaurant that you just linked me to.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
There's a building that has the map. Boy, this is really getting in the weeds.
This is rough.
Whenever this was taken in the timestamp of what I'm looking at on Google Map Google Street View.
Oh, Street View.
There's a for rent sign in the parking lot of the thing that used to be the IGA. I think it became an auto repair shop at some point. But if you were to keep going down this Northeast 117th Street, I'll just say it. If you just kept going towards Lake City Way, there is a very good chance that you would literally go right past. There's a point at which it starts to go downhill, like literally, actually downhill, not in the neighborhood sense. And there is a very good chance that you would run right past my old house. In fact, I think I might be.
Wow.
I think I might have found my old street, and maybe when I ran away from home, I stood on the 23rd Avenue. I just found the street that we rented on. This is not interesting for the listeners. I apologize.
But actually, that turned out better than I thought. I didn't mean to go on a tangent about Ethiopian food itself, but for some reason you described this. I'm like, oh, I wonder.
Yeah, no, you nailed
Ethiopian
it.
Place.
That was very close.
That's right. The exact. It's a weird area because it's like this weird convergence of a whole bunch of different streets that makes a weird little triangle with a park. It's just a very strange area. But boy, we nailed it. I'm kind of proud.
No, you really did. You should be, sir. Your instincts were spot on. I don't think that restaurant was there when I was a kid, but that's definitely we're talking about the same place.
We was hoping for some razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
Hold on. There's one more Google Street map that I want to discuss.
I love it.
In depth for this purely audio project that is TBTL. No, actually, what I want to do is thank some Dazzling Donors, and I want to apologize for the previous 10 minutes of the show that I dragged down into Boring Town. But you know who forgives us because he's been a friend of the show for so many years is David Zacharis, who's a smitten, of course. In fact, David's pronouns are his, him, and smitten.
According to what he filled
as listed
out.
Here
exactly, yeah.
in the form. And of course, David's in Burlington, Vermont.
Now, does he explain in this, when we say he's a smitten, does everybody just know what that means? Because I don't think he's doing any self-promotion in this. I could be wrong. He is in a band called the Smittens, who've been on TBTL before. There's
been on my very front porch.
Exactly.
At the old Mount Baker studio.
And we even dug up some, I was there that day too, and I took some old photos, and he and I were reminiscing about this about a year ago.
Well, isn't the picture of us on TBTL.net, didn't David draw that?
Yes. He's also an incredible visual artist as well. Yeah.
Yeah. David has done so much for the show and says, longtime donor, first time dazzler. Wow. Thanks, David.
Wow, thanks, man.
I need closure on something that I've been wondering about for almost 20 years. Okay. I clearly remember the first time I heard Luke. He was guest hosting Wait, Wait. I was surprised that someone my age was hosting. He told the story of his music teacher playing the song from Transformers on the trumpet. I've always assumed that that was The Touch from the 1986 Transformer movie, but now I'm worried it might have been the TV theme song. If you can clear that up, I'd be very grateful. Well, David, as we say on this show, trust your fears. Because, yes, you are correct to be worried that it was the TV show theme, because that's what it was.
Do you know that? See, I don't know that. I had brought up The Touch here. Do you know this?
You got the touch.
Oh, of course.
Well, but
this was in the Transformers movie? I didn't know that.
I don't think so. That's Boogie Nights. I think that's an original song for Boogie Nights. Right?
Oh, it's definitely not an original song. No, this is a classic rock song. And yeah, I guess this was in the. This was in the Transformers movie. I'm seeing a bunch of Transformers imagery to go along with it.
Well, that's
by Stan Bush.
Stan Bush, performed by Mark Wahlberg and Paul. And that's incredible. See, Andrew, this is why you play the game. This is why you do
play
the show.
The game. I grew up right next to this song. Well, in the same neighborhood.
For all of these years, I assumed, because, Paul Thomas Anderson is such a kind of, I don't know, you could say sort of completist. Also, you have like this Michael Penn association with a lot of his movies. In fact, Michael Penn is the guy who plays, I think, the recording engineer when they're trying to get their tapes back.
Oh, I forgot
the singer Michael Penn, who's Sean Penn's brother and
I'll bet
Amy
you
Mann's
I didn't
husband.
know that. Oh, okay.
And so I always just thought that this song, The Touch, was written for the movie Boogie Nights, and it was so perfectly of an era, was so perfectly of the kind of song that like Mark Wahlberg's character would have written. That you know what I mean? Like, it was so perfect that I assumed it couldn't be pre-existing before the movie. I had no idea it had any association with Transformers.
Well, you're blowing my mind. So Michael Penn has a brother named Sean Penn, just like the Sean Penn the actor?
The Sean Penn the actor is
they are.
Penn.
Oh no, I had no idea. That's blowing my mind.
And Michael Penn, he's kind of more on the fringes of. He's a big Largo guy. He does a lot of movie stuff, and he put out an album, a CD called. Speaking of CDs, he put out a CD called, I think. Was it called Half Harvest or No Myth? It was a CD. God, why is every story about me stealing CDs today? It was a CD my buddy Peter Williams' sister Dahlia had, and I borrowed it from her. I don't know if she knew I was borrowing it. And I loved it so much. And it's Michael Penn, and it's Sean Penn's brother. And so he was always on my radar. And then, he's in that movie.
Do you know how much interesting content there is just around this song? I'm on the Wikipedia page, and we haven't even gotten to the Transformers theme song yet.
No, I'm dialing that up, though, here.
But so we have The Touch, Stan Bush song, on Wikipedia. It's by Stan Bush. The song features prominently in the 1986 animated film The Transformers, the movie, and appears on the soundtrack. But it wasn't written for the album, it sounds like. But this is interesting. Or it wasn't written for the movie, it sounds like. But it appeared heavily in the movie and was on the soundtrack. But then it says The Touch was released as a double A-side single. So first of all, back in the day, sometimes they would release a single, apparently, where neither side was considered the B-side. They were both A-side.
God.
So it's a double A-side single.
I don't release B-sides. They're all A-sides,
But it was a single for the movie. So the other side of the record was not another song by Stan Bush. Just take one guess and go as wild as you possibly can as to who the other artist would be who appears on the Transformer soundtrack, who's the other side of this double A-side single.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be
it's
slow
a little
here,
bit complicated.
So this is related. This was as part of this is like the Transformers. This was a two songs that were released. Both sides were considered the A side.
Yeah, so they released a whole album.
Negotiated.
They released a whole soundtrack, but then there was this is the era of singles, like literally probably released 45s or maybe singles, although at this point I'm not sure. So there's two songs, one on each side. They're both considered side A. Yes. One of them is by this musician, Stan Bush, and it's The Touch. You'll never get this song, although you might know it, but just name the other artist who also appears on the single.
On the single.
Swing big, my friend.
I'm trying to think about the. Is it a big swing because they're really famous, or they really doesn't make sense that they would be associated with the Transformers, or because we talk about them a lot? Is it Scatman?
It is not, and I don't want to put you on the spot any more than that. I just wanted one from you, but that's a big swing. Oh, do you want to keep going?
No hints?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, now that I think about it, it is a musician who is associated with certainly our childhood and is mostly appealing to children.
Okay. A singer from our, it's not our childhood. It would not be Rafi.
It's not Rafi, and it's
maybe not quite that childish.
It's not quite that childish, and it's a musician that certainly it gets plenty of verbal ink spilled about them on this show. Like, this is not something. Yeah, this is not like an obscure musician, although we're not necessarily obsessed with them.
Man or woman?
Man. So I'll start saying him.
Okay, and we talk about this person. It's not Michael Stanley.
It's not Michael Stanley. I want to give you another clue, but it's a true clue and it's a funny clue, but it's just going to lead you further astray. You could consider him a nepo baby, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
But more like his dad is now a nepo dad because this person has seriously eclipsed his father.
Okay, this person has become let's see. His father was also a singer, though.
A musician.
A musician.
Actually, I'm double. It just occurred to me I better fact check this shit because I need to make sure that I'm right about that. I might strike the whole nepo baby thing if I'm wrong.
It's not Vanilla Ice.
It's not Vanilla Ice.
I guess we don't talk about him that much on this show. Who is it?
And I'm going to be really, really upset with myself. I think the last clue was total bullshit. I think the nepo baby stuff was total bullshit, but the answer is Weird Al Yankovic.
Wow.
Dare to Be Stupid was the other A-side of the
Dare
Touch.
to Be Stupid.
Dare to be stupid. Dare to be
Dare
stupid.
to be stupid.
And I don't. Was that a parody of another song, or was that just one of his silly originals?
I think that was one of his silly originals.
Okay.
Oh my God! By the way, I do think his dad. You don't think his dad? I thought his dad was some kind of a polka guy.
I thought his dad was Frankie Yankovic, the polka person, but it says
I don't
Nick
think
Yankovic.
that's his dad. I think we looked this up one time.
Okay,
honestly.
yeah.
Although, what are the chances that that's not his dad? That Al Yankovic plays polka music, plays the accordion like that, and isn't related to Frankie Yankovic, the polka king?
No, he's related to Nick Yankovic. Let's see here, and I don't think
the reggae king.
Did he work?
His dad is Jimmy Cliff. Okay.
Anyway, that was a journey. Thank you,
David.
David.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Thanks, David. Now, David, I am going to play, I hope anyway, I haven't previewed this, but this is the song that Mr. Morrison, the band teacher, came in to the classroom when I was it was either 3rd or 4th grade, and played this song. Battles to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Disguise. Oh. Dude. I don't know when the last time I watched this, like showing you actually the intro of that cartoon.
Yeah.
Dude, when those friggin' tapes jump out of Soundwave.
Oh,
that's
man.
so cool.
Laserbeak.
So cool. But so that was the song that he played on trumpet. And I've told this story a trillion times, but the thing that was nuts was I joined band because I want to learn how to play that song. It was very hard. I quit band after like 3 months, and then the next year he came back through. He played the song again. I rejoined band, but this time I had to. My parents would not rent me a trumpet from Kennelly Keys because I had violated their trust on the first round, and so luckily there was a trumpet that was donated to the school that, like, if you didn't have the money for a trumpet, they would just loan you. And it was called the Poor Kid Trumpet. And I still did not learn how to play the Transformers theme song. I'd quit after another 2 months.
But man, what a recruiting tool. My God.
Dude, Mr. Moore, very smart, right? At least certainly for a Luke Burbank of the era. Like, that was the best song he could have possibly played.
It's like trumpet recidivism.
Yes. Okay. On a more serious note, we're back to David's dazzling donor message. David, you give so much to the show, not just financially, not just creatively, but also from just a content kind of jumping off point. That was a really fun little adventure there. Almost as good as me Google street viewing my old neighborhood. On a more serious note, support your local artists and arts organizations. Go to shows. Buy work, donate, volunteer, share. Now more than ever, we need the arts and the artists who help us imagine, connect, and dissent. I serve on the board of Burlington City Arts, and I see every day how much local support matters. Culture survives when communities show up. Well said, David. It's really, really true. Of all of there are just so many truly awful things that are going on right now, nationally in this country and internationally, and then so many downstream effects. And one of the ones that I think about, maybe because of my Livewire job, is like the fact that it's never been easy, but it's even harder for folks that make art to have any sort of financial reward from that, to make a living as an artist. The CPB going away, which I know is more broadcast related, but a million different grants. Just, it would be such a shame if we had like a 10 to 20 year period of like people not being able to make art, and then, we just have that moving through the pipeline, you know what I mean? Of just like this clear cut, if you will, of creativity that just didn't exist. So definitely, David, that's a really good reminder. David says, also, can Andrew send Luke the Daily Donor and Dazzling Donor song for when he has to host solo?
Well, this is a good test. I will be out tomorrow, and I did send those to you, so hopefully you'll be able to use those.
David, you don't like me playing
what did
the
you
Transformers theme song?
Yeah, I feel like you always find some interesting.
I don't even know what I play. I always find something hilarious to play. It's not hilarious to David. Yeah, exactly. David, thank you, though, for all the support. We really do appreciate you. Thanks again. Maestro.
Sorry, I wanted to call up a Scatman John
Calling
song,
out to Scatland.
but
out to Scatland.
I knew I didn't have time, so
that was
sorry.
good, though. You know what,
no, that
Andrew?
was rough.
I appreciate that you went for it. No. I appreciate that you went for it.
Let me just say the saddest word ever. Maestro.
On your mark. Get set. Get set.
It's not a sad word. I just said it in a sad way.
Everybody rattle, dazzle.
Look who it is. It's our pal, Cinder Conlon in Traverse City, Michigan.
We were almost Traverse City residents together, Cinder.
Is that where Interlaken is?
It was right.
technically?
Yeah, that was the city that's closest to Interlaken, indeed.
This is incredible. I don't want to skip ahead. Let's just read. I'll read Cinder's message, but I'm already seeing some visuals that are really, truly something. Truly something. Cinder says, ahoy, hoy, co-bros. I typed this message whilst listening to yesterday's show, in which the Olympics and Genevieve's hatred thereof were discussed. I have to admit, despite the corruption of the IOC, I still love the games. I really enjoy watching the youth of the world excel at sports ball, but I digress. Here's what I'll say, Cinder. I feel like we, as a show, at least a little bit, we kind of came around on the Winter Olympics, at least the Alyssa Liu.
That's exactly who I was trying
element
to
of
Yeah,
it.
just joyful.
We were very, although, dude, I saw, like, you know, I got a little teary talking about her because of the back and forth with her father and how her father probably thought he was doing the right thing for his daughter, but was overbearing and was controlling to the point where she quit ice skating, and then she came back, and then, he was at the Olympics and cheering for her, even though she had set up some boundaries and stuff. And I thought that was such a beautiful story. And then I heard her being interviewed a couple of weeks later, and someone was like, "What did your dad think about the whole thing when you were winning?" She goes, "Or what did your dad think about when you said you wanted to come back?" She goes, "I didn't care what he thought. He wasn't my boss anymore. He didn't really." And like, it wasn't like she was like mad at him or estranged from him because he was at the Olympics, but it was less of a
sentimental.
I had kind of written this probably out of just dadness, out of kind of like just wanting the story to be a certain way. She seemed to be more, again, not resentful, but just kind of more matter of fact about it than like, yeah, a little bit, or just not like, let me tell you this. She wasn't crying about her dad clapping at the Olympics the way I was.
You know what's interesting is you mentioned, you're like, of course you remember me getting teared up. I did not remember you getting teared up for whatever that's worth. I think in moments, you and I are both guys
Time slows down
like,
if you're the crier.
I'm not embarrassed about the idea that I get emotional sometimes. I mean, it just happens, and I don't think there should be anything embarrassing about that, yet I do hate doing it in front of people, and I hate doing it in front of a microphone. And so you can remember way more, I think, your moments of maybe getting a little bit choked up. It does, for whatever it's worth, it doesn't live, I don't think, as much in the minds of others around you.
I think you're absolutely right. But it's funny that there is that element that you're talking about, which is that I can, remember pretty specifically probably the last 5 times that I got choked up, even though half the time I probably went right past people.
Well, once
and
was
then
talking
to
about
also,
the Transformers just a moment
and then
ago.
also to find out, well, it was when I found out that Michael Penn didn't write "You Got the Touch,"
and that Sean Penn and Michael Penn are brothers.
Now that one I better.
No, I'm sure you're right. In fact, the more I say it, the more I'm like, shit, I'll bet you've told me that before, and I just forgot.
Michael Penn is a critically acclaimed singer-songwriter and a film composer, best known for his 1989 hit "No Myth." He's the eldest brother of Oscar-winning actor Sean Penn
and of course,
the late actor Chris Penn.
And you just mentioned this, but Michael Penn is sort of the collaborator with Amy Mann on a lot of things.
Yeah,
right?
I think they might
Amy
be
Mann is in
a
like,
couple.
And of course, Amy Mann was in a P.T. Anderson movie. She was in oh wait, hold on. I'm thinking.
Well, she did the
Lebowski.
soundtrack for Magnolia.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you are.
I'm thinking of Lebowski. She was in Lebowski, which is not Anderson, but yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's see. Where were we? We're talking about and thanking our friend Cinder. And I was saying to Cinder that even though you couldn't have known it at the time when you were writing the Dazzling Donor message, we did kind of we got more into the Olympics than usual on the show, and that was because of you, Cinder. Even though I have not read this message until 3 seconds ago.
Okay.
Cinder says, I'm grateful for a lot of related things this year, not the least of which is the fact that y'all have made me a Seahawks fan. Whoa. In Michigan, of all places, because the Lions are nothing to sneeze at these days, and a likable team. I wish.
Indeed.
Whatever. I'm not going to get into politics. It bums me out that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a Trumpy guy. I don't like that.
Oh, he is?
He did the Trump dance.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know. I love him and his brother are fascinating to me. They speak German because their mom's
brother
from
Sean
Germany.
Penn?
His brother's Chris Penn, rest in power.
Oh.
That the St. Brown brothers, their dad was a very, very a successful bodybuilder and an athlete, but also a very, very strict father. Their mother is German, and they would go to Germany every summer with their mom, and they would visit with their maternal side of the family. So they speak fluent German. And like Amon-Ra St. Brown, their names are, like Amon-Ra. It's like a very, because their dad is black. It's like a very kind of like, there's a lot of sort of history and story behind their names. And Amon-Ra St. Brown was really I think, kind of appreciated coming out of college. And he just is such a unbelievably disciplined and hardworking and kind of intelligent football player that I loved seeing him succeed. And then one time he does a Trump dance on the sideline. Like, come on, dude. But we're glad to have Cinder on the old Seahawks team. In a football season where my beloved Lions crashed and burned, it was wonderful having a team to cheer for in the superb Owl Go K9. Well, here's what I'll do, Cinder. I'll root for the Lions. If the Seahawks get eliminated next year and the Lions are still playing, I'll absolutely root for the Lions. You know that we stand the Lions around here, and particularly their head coach. We love him.
Can I just say that Amon-Ra St. Brown, I just had to do a little Google just to see like what was up with this. I didn't know anything about his family. I just knew of him as a name, but I guess he did. So I guess he did that dance when Trump was in the stadium. And then he did that dance, and it pissed some people off. And then he apologized for it. He's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to." So I don't think that he's like deep in the like. He's not like what's that terrible MAGA guy who was like
Bosa?
Like Bosa wearing the hat and like kind of photobombing people's
that's
interviews.
Good.
Because
I like him. I really want. I want any way to. I need to find my way back to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Andrew. So I appreciate you giving me that lifeline.
If any president was at the game, I would have danced. So anyway, I'm not. We can all have our feelings about where we draw our lines around that kind of stuff. You wouldn't see me doing the Trump dance, obviously. But anyway, it's not like it's part of a broader philosophy.
That's actually good to hear.
He just seemed to be like,
I
hey,
appreciate you
we're just
digging
having
that up.
fun out there is his response to it. So
Cinder says, I've attached a couple of photos so you can see my newish shelf of TBTL memorabilia. As you can see, I've framed the Greatest Hits album, and I've hung it proudly for all to see. Andrew,
that's really great.
When you and John and I were talking about the album, literally one of us, I can't remember who, I seriously can't remember who, was like, what would be so fun about this would be because albums are whether or not you put the vinyl down and play it, they are sort of an object of art, if you will. And it would be cool if someone framed this or displayed it as art. And this is actually happening at Cinder's house.
Yeah, I love it. I have a record that is framed hanging on the wall outside of my studio, too. I think it's one that just says, I don't know, it's just some 1980s record.
You Got the Touch by
it is from the 80s. It's just like, it's a record that says like all beats, no rap or something like that, and it's just for it's a bunch of break beats, but it's from like 1986. It's actually like a break beat record that's kind of cool looking. So I have that framed. I love a good framed record, and this is the first time I've seen ours framed, and it looks pretty handsome. I also see the bingo card. I forgot about the bingo card.
Yeah, this is impressive. Cinder has a whole. It's like a museum of thank you gifts from over the years. Let's see. As you can see, I framed the Greatest Hits album, and I have hung it proudly for all to see. The fact that an Air Supply song pops into my head every time I look at it is a small price to pay for having such a stylish wall covering. Good looking out. I mean, I must have mentioned that casually that we did kind of model this on an Air Supply thing, but I wonder if Cinder is just that familiar with Air Supply.
Yeah, it was Breakfast with Bob, who definitely immediately recognized it as an Air Supply record. Yeah.
Let's see here. Don't worry, this is not some sort of twisted shrine, and I do not use Bobo and Johnny as voodoo dolls, or do I? Oh yeah, there's the Bobo. You know what? Honestly, Cinder, you donated. These are now your objects to do with whatever you see fit.
You can make them kiss if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad.
No.
Thank you as ever. To you guys for brightening my day 5 times a week, and to the Tens for being such an awesome group of Podcart pals. Here's to another year of fun and tenship. Power out, our friend Cinder in Traverse City, Michigan.
I love
Cinder,
tenship.
thank you so much.
Have we used that before? Tenship?
No, I don't
that.
think so.
That's really nice.
Maybe that can be a theme. I'm actually taking this photo, and I'm going to drag this over and put it on the desktop, and I'm going to send it to Becca and say, in the Sally Field voice, they like us. They really, really like us. People like us. People have a setup like this in their home in Traverse City, Michigan, and that is extremely, that's a big honor. Thank you, Cinder. Appreciate you.
Here I go once again with the email. Every week, I hope that it's from a female. Oh, man, not from a female. Thunder.
This is actually off of the third A side of the Transformers soundtrack.
That's right.
It was the rare album that had 3 sides, and they were all A's. There were no B's.
That was off of Back to Black, I want to say. I had that record. Did you have, or was Thunderstruck off of the Razor's Edge? I know that I had both of those on. They were on A and B sides of a dubbed cassette I had, and I would leaf below the driveway.
I was afraid of AC/DC.
That's what
I thought they were. Well, I mean, the irony is, like, it is the catchiest. It is the catchiest, like, most foot tapping, like, kind of. I don't know if I would say life affirming, but just like it's good pop music essentially. But I grew up being like, it's Satan music.
I don't think it's Satan music. It's okay. It all starts to very much. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to go after AC/DC fans.
It's not
but
misogynistic.
It's not. And also it's very one note. Like, you don't need. Like I was saying, I had.
Well, it's like 2 notes. He's like na 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 na.
Demonstrably 2 notes. But also, like, it's just you hear one song and then you're just like, okay, the next song, and then you don't need what I had, which was like what I guess 90-minute, 120-minute tape of it. And I will say this, and I'm not trying to hate on people who like AC/DC or AC/DC itself. Like, I went through a huge AC/DC phase. There's still room in my heart for it. I will say this. Yeah, I will say this. If you are considering doing an AC/DC song at karaoke, don't. Because I know what you're going to do. I know you're a guy, and I know you want to scream, and I know that you want to take out, like, some of the frustrations of the day into this song. But get a pillow, scream into the pillow.
Are you saying for those about to rock?
For those about to rock, we're going outside for a cigarette break while you do this song. Because
for those about to rock, reconsider it.
I actually think For Those About to Rock, We Salute You is one of the best names of a rock and roll record ever.
Is that AC/DC too?
Yes, and I don't have that record. I don't even know which era it was. I'm guessing it was the first singer. I'm going to lose the thread on this whole thing. But there is something, when I hear that album title, I'm like, hell yeah. And I'm not even a rock and roll guy.
It is a solid name for an album. The other thing about that AC/DC is, and maybe this is just my advancing age, but man, your vocal cords are gonna need a few days to recover from that if you really commit.
Blowing it out.
If you're a guy and you're trying to sing, "Hey, welcome,"
yeah,
I mean, like just that.
Oh,
I need the
you're
rest
done.
of the show off.
You're done. Look at that. He's grabbing his Coke Zero.
I got my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
Zero Sugar, Dr. Pepper.
Seriously,
Dr. P.
Andrew, trying to do 3 words of AC/DC just did that to me. Can you imagine?
You had to see the doctor.
I did. It was Dr. Feelgood.
It's Dr. Pepper. All right. Well, the reason we heard that music was because we are bringing back such a long-standing, not just popular, but I would say celebrated segment on the show called Seminal called Email
I don't mean it in a
Frenzy.
gross way. I mean it's part of the early life of the show.
Oh, I don't even know I don't know what that would mean in a gross way. It doesn't really matter. But I want to play for you several voicemails. I don't know if we have time for several because I'll be honest with you. This first one is very long, but there's a reason I'm starting with it because it's also very good. And this comes from listener Patrick, and it's a real stem winder here, Luke.
Okay.
I got it down to 4 minutes. But this is from listener Patrick, and it all started with our conversation about house burping, which was a brief conversation, but it was really interesting, and it's really stuck in my head, which is in some European countries, even in the middle of winter, even in the winteriest of those countries, there will be a time once a day where people will go through and open up all the windows or a bunch of windows in their house just to let the air in and to let the stale air out. And I love it. I think I've been doing that sort of low-key my entire adult life without really putting a word to it and maybe not as being as deliberate about it. But that led to this story from listener Patrick.
Ahoy, hoy, Luke and Andrew. I was just listening to the podcast, and you guys were talking about house burping. When I was in college, I studied abroad in Moscow. This was in the early 2000s, so it was before the days when Putin really had, a stranglehold on the country, and you could go and visit and that sort of thing. When we were there, they don't have a dormitory at the university that they would hook you up with a host family. And I got paired up with this very elderly woman, Essia Melmovna. She's probably passed by now, pour one out. But she lived in this apartment, and she got this apartment with her husband back in the 50s, back in the final days of Stalin, and they were really lucky to get this apartment. And he was in the military, and he had been killed in Afghanistan, so she lived all alone. So to make some extra money, she would rent out the bedroom in the apartment. It was a one-bedroom place, and then she kind of dressed up the living room as a bedroom for her. Right about the beginning of November, she took a butter knife and she used it to stuff wool into the cracks all around the window. And then she sealed off all the windows in the apartment with masking tape. And the following day, I went out in the evening with some of my compatriots and from the university, and we were out drinking, and I went into the bedroom and I got undressed, and it was so sweltering and stuffy and just hot. I mean, after just one day of the windows being sealed closed. And so I closed the bedroom door and I tore off all the masking tape and I threw open the window, and this big gust of wind just came right in, and the wool that had been in the cracks of the windows was just blowing around the room, but it felt so good. And I got in bed and I pulled the covers up to my chin and I fell asleep, and I was awoken at about 6 a.m. Because Essia Naumovna she had felt the cold under the door, kind of wafting into the rest of the apartment. And she came in, and it had been snowing. So there was all this snow that had piled up. There were no screens right? It was just an open window. So all the snow had piled up on the sill and on the floor and on the chair next to the window. And I jumped out of bed and I helped her close the window and we cleaned everything up. And man, I got the worst tongue lashing. And she was just so mad. And I felt terrible. Oh, I felt
I've heard
so
elderly
bad.
Russian
And I
women
helped
are
her
generally pretty chill.
Yes.
peel off the window again. And the rest of the time that I was there, those windows did not open up again. And I felt so bad. And I couldn't stop apologizing. But it just felt so good to get that fresh air in the morning. That was, that was the last fresh air that apartment had for the rest of my stay. Anyway, that's it. Power out. Have a great one, guys.
Yes, I was going to say, can you imagine
Yes.
being yelled at by an elderly Russian widow in her own space because you have crossed a line? That is something that I hope I never have to experience.
That sounds like a sleep paralysis demon situation where you wake up and there's a elderly Russian widow perched at the end of the bed and you can't physically move and she's yelling at you. I'm also, and this is a bit of a leap, but if I'm going to go with some of the stereotypes and some of the thoughts I have about the general layout of things in Soviet Russia, as has been said, which is I'm guessing this was a larger building that probably had multiple units in it. And I wonder if it was the kind of thing where you couldn't really control the heat specific to your unit or you had limited control. And so, I can totally relate also to Patrick being like, dude, if you block up all of any kind of possible ventilation, that heat coming through the radiators or the whatever, the way that the building was heated, just building up and building up and building up. I live a mini version of this oftentimes here in my own house. There isn't, as far as I'm aware, an older Russian woman living in the home environment with me, but sometimes, particularly in the winter, because my house, as I talked about, in the wintertime, I had a little bit of trouble dialing in all of the temperature stuff because I'm still dealing with some broken heating parts. But so I will sometimes I'll get in bed and it'll be cold in my bedroom. So I have this space heater that I'll turn on. And maybe I'll even have my socks on. I don't like to sleep all night with my socks on. Do you sleep with socks on?
No.
Because if your feet are too warm in the middle of the night, it's like, that's for me anyway, a very uncomfortable feeling. So, but sometimes if it was cold, this is particularly a few months ago, I would turn on the little space heater. I'd get in bed. I'd be a little shivery. I'd kind of get, all cozy and I'd fall asleep. And then I would wake up at 2 or 3 as if I was on the surface of the sun. And I'm ripping the socks off and I'm pulling the covers off. And I'm getting up, I'm turning the heat off, but there's not, because the house is actually very well insulated. I had it all spray foamed, which has a high R factor. So once the heat's in the room, it's too much. It's probably what Patrick was experiencing. But then I'll just I have a window right kind of by the nightstand. It's on a crank. It's like a casement window. And open that, and the cold air will just flood in. And it's almost worth the discomfort of the waking up in basically in a sauna, because when that cold outside air comes in and hits you, it is just the best feeling. I can sort of imagine every part of this journey for Patrick.
I have so much to say. First of all, I used to live in this apartment that had, it was probably the most humble of my apartments that I lived in. I liked it because it finally got me into the actual core of the city of Concord, New Hampshire, which is still just a small town. But when I first moved there, I was living outside Concord in some sort of a more modern, but again, humble in its own way kind of, it was it wasn't gross in any way, but it was just a very boring ass apartment I lived in. I really wanted to move closer to the radio station, closer to downtown Concord, which I did. But the first place I rented was a real sty, and in a lot of different ways that I will refrain from going down memory lane too much here. But the one thing I will tell you, and I'm sure I've said this before, was I did not have the ability to control the heat in that
Was it
apartment.
radiators?
I think it was radiators. I think it was old school metal radiators, like the kind that would like kind
Get
of
hot.
Yeah, exactly. Like be it like
Would
be
you
a piece of furniture.
Would you
in the
dry your
corner.
stockings on them after
That
a long day at
exactly
the
kinda-
office?
Yes, and a little lady would come out and sing to me about heaven. That's for the Eraserhead fans in the audience.
Oh,
but anyway, but anyway, nobody in this unit, or none of the units in this apartment building, and let's say there were, I think maybe 4 of them, could control their own heat. They were all on the same system. Now, the actual thermostat was set by the landlords and then put behind a little lockbox, but that thermostat happened to live in my apartment.
Oh, wow.
So if I were to open up the
keymaster.
windows, it would get cold, and then everybody else's apartment would get hot. Or like when Genevieve came over to make a Christmas duck on Christmas Day one year, others complained about it getting really cold in their apartments because we were creating so much heat from the oven in our apartment that it affected everybody else's. It basically shut off the heat for everybody else. But
You were the front part of the human heatipede.
That's exactly how I was going to put it, but I wasn't sure if you would follow. But what I did,
I want
and
everyone
again,
to know that Andrew did love that joke, but he was having a coughing
I was
fit.
having a bit of a coughing
He
fit.
was. I saw in his eyes
I-
the recognition of true greatness and
Yes,
humor.
exactly.
That
Actually, I appreciate you throwing that in there. I know that you threw that in there because you can tell I needed to cough for a moment. But the truth of the story is, I wanted some sort of control. I resented this whole thing, and so I had a bag of peas, my friend, that I kept in the freezer. And if I was feeling cold, I would take those peas out of the freezer. Now, these were not...
Life finds a way.
They were dedicated heater peas or thermostat peas. I did not eat them. I wasn't they were basically like kind of getting frozen and unfrozen and refrozen and everything. So they were not for consumption at this point, but I would take that bag of peas and I would set it on top of the plastic box that locked the thermostat in. Because if you think about, cool temperatures sort of fall down, the heat rises. So I would set that on top and it would make the thermostat think it was colder in the room. And that would be how I could turn up the heat, both in my apartment and my neighbor's apartments.
That's incredible. What a genius.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know, idea. I don't know if I would have thought to do that. That's what also, that just reminds me of, I didn't live in any apartments maybe that were that extreme, but just like the craziness of when you're young and you're just, you got to live somewhere, and just like the weirdness of those kinds of apartment buildings. Like, how in the world is it the case that one of the apartments is the control for all of the other?
Yeah, no, just and also it was the gross in a lot of different ways. But then also because I'm a goddamn weirdo, I leaned into it. It had like wood paneling, not even like this wood paneling that I have now, but like the more traditional, like I'm in a VFW hall, more vertical fake wood paneling. And then what I started, and I had like old man furniture that I was just inheriting from like people. So I had like an oversized like stuffed chair, like an easy chair or something that a grumpy old man probably used to store his farts in. And then so I had those anyway. And then I started, when I was at like thrift stores or flea markets with Genevieve, I started picking up those like balsa wood framed fake oil paintings of kids playing around water wheels and rivers. And I
know the exact ones.
I started hanging those on the wood paneling. And Genevieve says, "This is not a good look." Like, I remember her being like, "This is getting capital C creepy in here," and so eventually I did.
But you
move out of
didn't
there.
live together at this time.
No, but we were in a relationship, and somehow we
always
survived that
amazing.
period. But anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
that could have been. I could have seen that being some. Like, it's good that you were already dating when you moved to Concord, right? Or no? Did you move to
we
Concord
started
for the
dating.
NHPR job.
We started dating. We started officially dating basically the day before I started work. So I had met Genevieve on a trip to Boston maybe 4 months earlier or something like that. We stayed in touch. We knew that we had a lot of love for each other. I don't know if we were using the word love at that point, but we were clearly into each other. And then we had our first date when I moved to New Hampshire, like basically my second day there. And then I think I started the
I
third
think it's
day.
good that she already had a sense of who you are and you in the world before she came over to your apartment. Like, let's say you started dating in Concord, you just like met randomly, and then you said, "Here, let me show you some of my sad clown art collection.
Yeah,
Not that that's what it was exactly.
I actually,
I had an Elvis.
I put a creaking sound on the door just to make it.
Uh-huh.
I'd be like, "Come in," like
always
DFTV.
the audio file.
Yes, exactly.
I did have like a Velvet Elvis too, I think, or something like that. Because I mean, there is also that thing where it's like when you're young and you just don't have any money, you're like, well, it's never going to be fancy in here, so why would I not lean into kitsch a little bit, and stuff. And so like I definitely had like I had some kind of a Velvet Elvis that was like tacked up and stuff like that. Was definitely a theme in my early apartments as well.
So I'm going to I have a bunch of voicemails here, and I know we can't get through a lot of them, and so I'm sort of making some editorial decisions here on the fly. Here's a little bit of a shorter one. This is about words. What is the word I'm looking for, Luke? Ironically, that is it. Etymology of words.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The origin of words.
Yeah. This is from our friend Jamie, and I'm going to pause it
in Mississippi.
No, this is from Jamie in Maryland, I believe.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to pause it for some clarification. Probably halfway through.
Hello, fellas. This is listener Jamie from Columbia, Maryland. And I was listening to the day after the Super Bowl show, and this has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. So just ignore that part. But I was listening, and I heard Andrew say how much he loves the term kitty corner. And I remember...
Now, this is where I want to pause and say, I don't remember saying that. I do love the word kitty corner. I will say that, I mean, I think I do. I definitely like it. I love the word cattywampus. And I want to use it more than I have the opportunity to. But kitty corner is up there as well. At first, I was wondering if we were confusing cattywampus with kitty corner. But I must have shown some appreciation for kitty corner.
How much he loves the term kitty corner. And I remember growing up in southern Missouri and hearing the word catty corner, and that's what we always called it, catty corner. And then I moved to Chicago, and people said kitty corner. And I was like, what is wrong with you people? Why are you saying kitty corner? It's catty corner. So then, as a person who likes words, I decided to do a little research. And turns out the real word is catter corner. Catercorner. And so it became catty corner, and then from there it became kitty corner. But the real word is catter corner, and it means diagonal. So the more you know. Power out.
That's great.
Catty cornered.
So catty cornered.
That, Andrew, I am so glad that Jamie called and left that voicemail and that you played it, because the term kitty corner has always, I wouldn't say weirded me out, but I've always thought, how is that what we're calling that when something is diagonal? What, like, that's way too cutesy for a description that, like you're in the war and they're like, which way is the enemy coming from? Kitty corner. Like it's an important factual statement of like it's diagonal, but the fact that it was catter corner and that became catty corner, became kitty corner, that is I weep for the summer barbecues this year that I'm at, and the people are going to have to hear about that because I am not going to stop telling people about the origins of kitty corner.
But does that also, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to interject there, because I love the word cattywampus, which is different, right? Like kitty corner or catter corner means basically, like you said, it's not directly across the street. It would be kitty corner. It would be like the opposite corner. If you were walking diagonally across an intersection, that would be kitty corner. Cattywampus means, I think, and I'm going to look it up here in a second, or you can, but that something is not in place properly, right?
Yes,
like something is
correct.
like, yeah. So, but if catter corner, don't you feel like there must be some connection then between catter corner and cattywampus?
It would stand to reason. I mean, cattywampus is an example of a grand 19th century American slang. Let's see here. Sorry. What is it slang for? It basically, the way you described it, something is crooked, askew, or out of line. So that's now that also this is the part of the show where I just switch into etymology mode all on my own, which is if we think that catter corner is diagonal, and if we think that cattywampus is something is crooked or askew, it could sort of be diagonal, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of thinking. Like it sort of seems like they're in both the same family of definition as well as word sounds.
What about the
right?
definition of ninnyhammer or bumfuzzle or flummadiddle?
Oh my god! I'm gonna have
People
to beep
also
all
asked.
of this. All right, give us the definitions of those.
Okay. By the way, I never answered the question of what you had titled the audio drop. I just wanted.
I know. I just thought that was uninteresting, so I let it go.
I was very interested
All
in
right,
it.
I have it in front of me if you want to take it.
Okay, we're going to come back to that in a minute. Okay, a ninnyhammer. I bet you can guess a little bit just from the first
not
word.
really. A ninnyhammer. I'll tell you what I'm picturing, and I know it's going to be wrong. It's way too literal. Is I'm picturing the little hammer a doctor uses to check your reflexes.
Ooh, that'd be a great name for that. It's a noun for a fool or a simpleton, a ninny.
Okay.
Ninny is usually kind of, somebody, a simple person. How about flibbergibbet or flibbergibbet?
Oh my gosh, that's from one of our drops. Doesn't A.D. Miles say that in like one of those not Stepbrother, whatever the movie is where he's talking about
talking about a wings man?
Talking about a wing.
Yeah. Those Mike Sniffer Pippets.
Oh, that's
knock, knock. Who's there? Mike. How many Mike Sniffer Pippets do you know? I'm freezing out
That's
here.
right. It is that same movie, and it is
totally
80
sounds like the
miles.
same word.
Am I not 80 miles?
It is 80 miles.
80 miles. Okay, yeah.
No, you're absolutely
Who's
right.
the AD who is on Saturday Night Live? And
A.D. Bryant.
A.D. Bryant. Okay, good.
No, you had the right AD.
Okay, great. Okay.
But it's Sniffer Pippet, not Flibbergibbet, but they are almost the same word to me.
Okay, a flippergibbet is maybe it's just a.
It's just, I guess, an insult. It's considered derogatory.
Oh, okay.
And then let's see, one last. Okay, bumfuzzle. What's the definition of bumfuzzle?
I feel like that is
and it's
slang.
a verb, I guess, to do something.
Really? Okay, then never mind what I was going to say.
Bumfuzzle.
You're confusing somebody.
Yes.
Really?
Absolutely. To confuse or fluster.
Oh, well, you tried to bumfuzzle me, but I
didn't work.
Bumfuzzled you.
These are getting increasingly more sexual. Throttle bottom?
Oh, no. I'm a throttle top.
Yeah, it's a innocuously inept and futile person is a throttle bottom.
Interesting.
Innocuously inept though. So like,
yeah.
Like
Me.
not in a way that's, you're not like they didn't give you the nuclear codes and now you accidentally launched an attack. It's kind of, it's innocuously futile.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a lot of fun. I don't know. What do you want to do here? Do you want to hear another story, or are we
Let's
getting
do
too
one
long
more.
here? Okay.
One
we're
more.
gonna do.
We promised a frenzy.
Okay.
And we've barely gotten into a fop doodle.
Two a frenzy does not make.
Thank you.
I am going to play. Well, I'm going to play this one. This is from somebody who did not leave their name, and I think it's self-explanatory.
Hey, Luke and Andrew, I am doing my own chat GPT on marsupial gurgle. The question is, what is a marsupial gurgle, and what does it have to do with podcasts? And here's the answer. It's a bit of podcast nerd slang. It's mostly a joke. Marsupial gurgle, quote, is a playful term people use to describe very specific vocal tick, most famously associated with Roman Mars, the host of 99% Invisible.
Absolutely not.
He has a distinctive way of ending phrases with a soft, resonant, slightly gravel sound in his throat. Not quite vocal fry, not quite a sigh, more like a gentle gurgle at the back of the mouth. So why the name? Mars, Roman Mars, upial, makes it sound like a species and keeps the joke going. Gurgle, the actual sound people are poking fun at. I think they made that up. It's not true. Wow. Screw you, ChatGPT. Long live TBTL. Here's to Handmade Podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Would you take us for a couple of bum fiddlers?
If the AI just sometimes said, I don't know the answer to that one, I would have such fewer problems with ChatGPT. It's just it's just like, I don't know. It has something to do with podcasting. It clearly knew it had something to do with podcasting, and then it said, well, Roman Mars, marsupial. Like, it's just, but it just says it like it's fact.
It's so like that's actually the most upsetting. Like it's not a hallucination as much as it's just like what we call an uneducated guess or whatever. Like that's the most upsetting one I've ever heard. The reason is because it took something that is legitimately a TBTL in joke and a whole part of the lexicon of TBTL and then attributed it to a much more popular podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. You stole. It's like isn't it what David did with Bathsheba?
Yeah.
In the Bible, he coveted her. He was on his rooftop and he had everything. He was King David, and he looked over and he saw this beautiful woman, and he coveted her and wanted her, and so then he sent her husband to the front line.
Oh, she was
and then
married?
She was, and he sent her husband to the front line so he would be killed. And then I forget which prophet it was, if it was like Elisha maybe or Elijah or somebody came to him and told him a story about somebody in his land. There was a shepherd with a huge flock of sheep, and he coveted his neighbor, his fellow shepherd had maybe like a small amount of sheep, and he went and he stole those small sheep or that one sheep, even though he had many. And David was like, "Find this man, I will kill him." And it's like, "It's you, brah." Anyway, that's a really grandiose way to say. I don't like it when AI is giving our credit for our things to Roman Mars. Roman Mars is doing fine in beautiful downtown Oakland, which is how he always describes the offices of 99% Invisible, a show that I love, by the way.
I used to listen to that when I was in L.A., but it's been so long. I need to get back into that. By the way, have you been watching David, King of Israel, a 4-part docudrama on Fox Nation hosted by Zachary Levy?
Was Shazam in it?
Oh, that's right. It was Shazam. I knew that had come up on the show
I
recently.
saw somebody on TikTok, a young person, a young woman, just doing – it didn't quite work for intro tape. I should have sent it to you just anyway, but she was just like, this is like – everything I'm seeing watching the WBC, that was her doing an impression of like David, just like all these weird, these are not even, we talked about already, but they're not even ready to be on the regular Fox, which is really saying something. You know what I mean? They're like on their like the Fox Ocho. They're on like the 8th platform of Fox.
They're doing Bible tosses on Fox Ocho.
Exactly.
Was it ESPN Ocho, when they did like the silly sports and everything? It was. Wasn't it based on a movie? Was that based on one of those silly sports movies? There was a fake thing called ESPN Ocho, and then ESPN decided once a year they'll do a week of ESPN Ocho. That
might have been. Was that Dodgeball? Was that on the Ocho?
I feel like it was either Dodgeball or Basketball or one of those shows from that era that I did not ever watch. I don't know.
Yeah. Are you sure it wasn't Flibbergibbet?
I have to
was it
so much.
Fopdoodle? Was it? I could do this for hours. I've got a lot of weird words here, Andrew.
I could
but
Fopdoodle forever.
Yep, but we probably shouldn't. The listeners have places to be, as do we. So that's gonna do it for today's episode. But guess what? Oh, hey, one quick thing. I know we didn't do Blur's Days today because of some recording stuff, but I know you wanted to wish a little Blur's Day to our friend Barry's husband, Sam.
That's right. I call him Broadcast Sam.
And I wanted to also, happy Blur's Day, Sam. I'm sorry, but I just have to do it. My brother, DFTB, is turning 30 this week.
30 years old.
So happy Blur's Day, David.
And
Love
Sam.
You. And happy birthday to both of them. We are going to do Blur's Days next week, so if you sent them in, I promise we will get to them, and we will give them all of the love and care and attention that they deserve. So anyway, we'll be back here tomorrow with more Imaginary Radio. In the meantime, have a great Thursday. Take care of yourselves. Go Mariners.
Go indeed.
And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.